Man, that's a tougher matchup that a lot of people think. They think Topuria gonna run through Charles, and you never can Charles Oliveira out. I think he's very tough.
But the thing about Ilia is, normally with him, the featherweight champion just became champ. He knocked out Volkanovski, he knocked out Holloway back-to-back.
Yep.
You would think the next fight he'd be some minus 1,000 favorite.
Ilia's got more opportunities than Charles does. But Charles can surprise us with his length, and up the middle would be really, really well suited for him in the kicks.
As the fight between Charles Oliveira and Ilia Topuria draws near, MMA pros have started to share their predictions. Renato Moicano recently weighed in on the matchup, acknowledging that while Topuria enters as the favorite, Oliveira should never be counted out, calling him a tough and dangerous opponent. Moicano admitted that he initially leaned toward Topuria, but after reconsidering Oliveira's experience and well-rounded skill set, he has now shifted his prediction in favor of the former champion.
That's a tougher matchup that a lot of people think. They think Topuria gonna run through Charles, and you never can Charles Oliveira out. I think he's very tough. But Topuria is good, He's 145. It's going to be a tough fight for both fighters. I don't have an opinion on that. I was leaning more to Topuria, but today I just had a podcast with Charles on my Brazilian channel, and it's just very hard to not like the guy. And that makes harder, to pick against him. So I'm going with Charles just because he's Brazilian.
Kamaru Usman also shared his perspective on the matchup. He highlighted the conviction and fearlessness Ilia Topuria brings into every fight, praising him for proving his dominance by defeating elite opponents like Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski. Usman stated that Topuria has earned every right to be confident heading into this showdown.
He believes in that conviction so much to where, put up Conor, I'll put him to sleep. Put up Charles Oliveira, I'll put him to sleep. Put up Islam, I'm put him to sleep. Like, he has that conviction. And hey, he's told us that twice now in these world title fights. And what did everyone do? Everyone went, I don't know. Volkanovski is a beast. You can't do that. He went out there and he did it. Then he goes, give me Max Holloway. And we're like, I don't know. Max Holloway, the best boxer in the UFC. I don't know if he could do that. He went out there and did it. So, him calling for a fight like this, I think the UFC does 100%. I think you give him what he wants.
Sharing his thoughts on the fight, Adam Catterall pointed out that it will likely be a close contest and highlighted the impressive fighting career of Charles Oliveira. He also noted that things might be stacked against Ilia Topuria, pointing out that if Jay Herbert was able to drop to Ilia, being naturally the bigger and more experienced fighter, could have an even greater chance of doing the same.
Listen, it's a close fight because Charles Oliveira is the former champion. He has got record after record after record on his ledger. He's been there, done it, and got the T-shirt. And he is the naturally bigger guy coming into this particular fight. And there are things that go against Ilia Topuria. Let's talk about the things that go against Ilia Topuria. Right? He has fought at 155 before. He did it in London, didn't he? It's Jai Herbert. We saw that fight ourselves. And if Jai Herbert can drop Ilia Topuria, you better drop back your bottom dollar that Charles Oliveira can do that.
Continuing his breakdown, Adam Catterall noted that, from a technical standpoint, Ilia Topuria is the more polished fighter. Discussing the tactical side of the matchup, he emphasized that the outcome will largely depend on Topuria's approach, whether he allows Charles Oliveira to unleash his unpredictable, dangerous style or instead dictates the pace with a disciplined, clinical performance. Ultimately, Catterall believes the fight will come down to Topuria's game plan.
Oliveira, in order to be so amazing and become the fan favorite, is a reckless fighter. That's what makes him so exciting. He is reckless. He is willing to take shots in order to dish shots out. He's willing to put himself in compromising positions in order to get the submissions. He's willing to do all of those things in order to become successful. And 9 times out of 10 recently, not earlier on in his career when he was a 145er, but now he is absolutely excelling in those types of exchanges because of the belief system that he's got in his own ability.
Yeah.
Can you be that reckless with a man that very rarely presents an opportunity? Yes.
Meanwhile, Javier Mendez and Tim Welsh also weighed in on the matchup. Javier admitted that Ilia Topuria likely has the higher chance of winning, but confessed that is personally rooting for Charles Oliveira to pull off the victory. He echoed Tim Welsh's view that Topuria is the type of fighter who is extremely difficult to beat, making this one of the toughest challenges Oliveira will face.
As I just said against Jai Herbert, look what happened. He tightened up, he did present another opportunity, and then he nailed Jair in the very next round and took him out. So, when I look at the technicalities of each guy, Ilia Topuria is the better guy.
Ooh.
I genuinely believe that. I think technically he is the better guy.
Oof.
Will he present the opportunities for Charles to be Charles, or will it be clinic?
Javier also noted that this fight is one where Ilia Topuria appears to have the upper hand. However, he acknowledged that Charles Oliveira has the tools to shock the MMA world with his exceptional skill set. Javier highlighted Oliveira's biggest strengths, his lethal submissions, creative striking, and unpredictable style, emphasizing that if used effectively, they could be the keys to securing a victory.
I think because Charles is reckless, as you say, you've made all the right points. He is reckless, but he can afford to be reckless because he's extremely good off his back. Extremely good. That he sucks people in. The problem he's got with Ilia is there's no blueprints. There's many blueprints to beat Charles Oliveira. He's lost many times in his career, albeit in the latter stages now against the best of the best. But that recklessness does put him into compromising situations, and he can be stopped, he can be submitted. We've seen both. Ilia, there is no blueprints. There's no way to beat this guy. And so there's two issues you've got there. You're looking at tape of his previous fights, trying to find chinks in the armor that dozens of opponents have tried to find before unsuccessfully.
MMA Guru went on to describe Ilia Topuria as a true menace inside the octagon. He pointed out that the dominant fashion in which Topuria has secured victories throughout his career has already made him a rising star with a rapidly growing fan base. Leading up to the fight, MMA Guru expressed confidence that Topuria has a strong chance to win convincingly and further cement his status as one of the sport's biggest names.
Oliveira, who kind of stands it in a high Muay Thai stance, marches forward with knees. If someone gave you $100,000 to bet on that fight, who would you bet?
Ilia.
By knockout?
I don't know that I would. If someone gave me $100,000 and but if you're asking me who I want to win, I'll put Charles. I'll put my money on Charles.
Yeah, that's who you'd want.
Yes, that's who I'd want. Yeah. But if you're giving me $100 to make $100, if it's that type of even, like you get $100, you can make $100. I would put Ilia.
Yeah.
He feels he cannot be beaten.
Yeah, he really does. I mean, gosh, you know as well as anybody, like the confidence that's a big one. If one fighter is very, very confident and they can back.
Meanwhile, Henry Cejudo spoke with Khabib Nurmagomedov about Ilia Topuria's potential, noting that Topuria is an exceptional fighter. Khabib agreed, but stressed that if Ilia wants a shot at Islam Makhachev, he first needs to prove himself by beating top contenders such as Dustin Poirier or Charles Oliveira. He emphasized that Topuria must earn that opportunity by securing a clear and decisive victory over Oliveira.
Yes, very, very dangerous. Very, very dangerous.
Why else do you think you pick Ilia over Charles? What is it about his skill set that you like more?
It's basically because Charles is going to stand in there upright, like you're saying, and when he gets inside, he's going to use that boxing, and Charles' head's going to be up, and Ilia's got a really good way of connecting with that chin on the inside. Really, really nice. Just like what he did with Volk, and I think if Charles doesn't get him up the middle with knees or front kicks up the middle, he's going to have a hard time with his boxing against him, and he's going to have a hell of a time trying to take him down. So it's going to be one of those where Ilia's got more.
He's bigger from when I heard him on the Joe Rogan podcast. Like 191, I think he was walking around. That's massive. So for him to cut to 145, it just seems almost like, how did he do that? But now that he's going up to 155, I always like when athletes go up heavier to their natural weight. Right? Like him cutting to 145, that's not natural. He was able to do it. It's almost like Conor when he was cutting to 145. He's looking at Skeletor, knocking on death's door. Then he went to 55. I was like, okay, this feels good. He beat Eddie Alvarez, and then Conor, went off and fought Floyd. Shit was history. But I think he's gonna look good at 155. I think he's gonna have to deal with, people look good when they fight people.
He's a big followed guy. He got loads of views on JRE. The thing about Ilia is, normally with him, the featherweight champion just became champ. He knocked out Volkanovski, he knocked out Holloway back-to-back. You would think the next fight he'd be some minus 1,000 favorite. But now he's sort of got to be put into these 50-50s. He's forced it upon himself because he doesn't want to reset hunger. He needs to maintain hunger because he's now made the millions. I think he was already quite well off anyway.
Yep.
He's quite